I slept with a guy for the first time since my husband died. I am feeling very guilty about it.
I am literally cursed. I feel like the universe. Or the gods. Or whatever. Are out to punish me. I just don't know what I did to deserve such a fate. I have loved 3 men in my life. And each one has made a poor choice that cost him his life. This has become a crippling fear for me now. I am only 31 years old. And I don't want to spend the rest of it alone. But I am so scared that something will happen to anyone I fall in love with. In the last 2 years since my husband, Michael, passed away, I haven't even thought about dating until just now. My therapist, Luna, has been helping me to overcome the fear of connecting again. Even with that though, I hadn't thought of pursuing any sort of romantic relationships. Then one just sort of fell into my lap. I recently went to a work conference. During my first session there was a very handsome man, David. And as luck would have it, we got paired off for an exercise. The chemistry was immediately there. We were laughing and talking like we had known each other forever. Of course, we had to switch partners after so long. But I made it a point to go talk to him again before moving to the next session. We ended up in the last session of the day together as well. That's where he asked me to go to dinner with him. The night was so much fun. We had several drinks. Talked for hours. And at the end of the night I kissed him before going to my room. I spent the rest of the night in my room wishing I had asked him to come in. At the same time though I was feeling anxious. The idea of falling for someone stressed me out. What if we fall in love? What if he does something stupid like the others and ends up dead? No, my therapist tells me that those things just happened. It wasn't because of me. There is no curse. I got almost no sleep that night, then overslept the next morning. I got out of bed and put myself together to a bare minimum. This made me not want to run into David at all the next day. But at the same time so badly want to run into him. I went the whole day looking and didn't once spot him amongst the crowd or in a session. As my last session was coming to a close I was kicking myself for not just bringing him back to my room last night. The session ended and as I was leaving there was David. He had his hand extended towards me as I walked up. I took it and then we pulled in for a close hug. He said he asked around to figure out which session I was in and left his early to meet me as I exited. I was swooning. We went to dinner again. And this time I invited him to my room. And I have to say, oh my God. It was amazing. Literally so passionate. The next day we exchanged information. We are a little bit apart location-wise. About 45 minutes drive. I was over the moon for about 2 days when I just hit this huge low. I felt guilty. I know my Michael is gone. But it just seems so fresh suddenly. Everyone keeps telling me I need to move on and get myself back out there. Now that I have done it I feel so much shame. Maybe it was because I slept with him so quickly. Maybe it's just the reality of moving on. I need to see my therapist. I also might talk to my former sister-in-law and mother-in-law. They have been really supportive of me. And I've grown closer to them since he passed. They have both been telling me for the last year to start dating again. I guess that's what I'm doing. David and I are set to go out again this Friday. I haven't looked forward to anything this much in a long time. I want to sleep with him again too. I just can't shake the feeling that what I'm doing is too soon. Luckily, I see Luna on Thursday. I got a lot of comments on my last post and want to thank everyone for their opinions. I realize there is nothing really to feel guilty about. I am a single woman. He is a single man. My therapist was very happy to hear I was going out on a date. She helped reassure me there was nothing wrong with pursuing love again. I did talk to my MIL, Julie, and SAL, Christina, before my date Friday as well. They were over the moon when I told them about my date. It was weird and embarrassing when I also told them that I had already slept with David and they both emphatically went. Yes. We had some girl talk and I was feeling really good about everything. The date was spectacular. He took me to the opening night of this new art gallery at the City Art Museum. It was so romantic. He is kind of an art history nerd. It was so cute listening to him point out little details in the paintings. Afterwards, we went back to his place and spent the night. The next day he asked me to spend the weekend with him. It was one of the best weekends I have ever had. And I'm seriously falling for this guy. We have been messaging, talking, and making up excuses to see each other for the last 2 weeks. We have been out to eat like 8 times. Done 2 hikes. He took me to a gun range and I shot for the first time in my life. And I took him to get his first pedicure, LOL. The best part is I am not having those intense feelings of guilt. I will always love my husband. But I think I've come to realize that I have to move on. I think these posts really helped me work through a lot of the feelings I was having. Hi everyone. It has been a few weeks since I last updated. Things with David and I are still going strong. No real new news on that front other than we made it official. So I now get to call him my boyfriend lol. The reason for this post is twofold. I got a ton of people who inquired about what happened to the previous men in my life. It's not ever been something I have really talked about. Honestly, I've barely talked about it with my therapist. Luna. I still have a lot of trauma about all of it. Because like I said in my first post, they all died because they made a bad choice. It's hard to come to terms with that when you know they should still be here. Anyway, Luna suggested that I post about them here. Tell my story. She said since posting about my struggles in moving on was so beneficial, maybe posting about this would be cathartic as well. I decided to take her advice. I think this will help me get some closure. Answer the questions I got from so many inquiring minds lol. This happened 15 years ago when I was 16. I had my first love with my boyfriend James. We had been together for 2 years at this point. And I know it sounds naive. And there were some rumors. But I knew we would get married someday. We were still stupid teenagers though. We liked to go to parties. Drink. Get it on in his car. All the things teens do. Well. This one friend of ours was a sort of typical spoiled rich girl. She hosted a pill party one night. We decided to go. It was stupid. But we had both used Adderall for fun before and thought it would be fun to do it again. The problem was he made a mistake. That night he ended up ingesting a large quantity of roofies. Being dumb teens, no one made the call to 911 until it was too late. 6 years later I was engaged to my college boyfriend. CS. We had been engaged for a year. We were wedding planning. This had caused some friction between us and CS thought a vacation would help take some of the stress off. It was on the third day of our trip we decided to go hiking. It was a very beautiful trail that went around a cliffside. I did want to see over the edge of the cliff, so we got off the beaten path. And to the edge. This was all fine. But at this particular spot there was a rock that jutted out over the edge almost like an arrowhead pointing. CS decided he wanted a picture of himself out over the edge. I told him I was not going to go out on that spot and it wasn't safe. He went anyway. And after taking his selfie, lost balance on the loose rocks at his feet and fell 40 feet below onto the jagged rocks below. I will never get that image out of my mind. 2 years ago is when I lost my husband. We were married just over a year after a 2-year-long engagement. We had been together a total of 6 years. We had bought a nice house with a pool just before our wedding. Everything was going well and we were debating some major life decisions. My husband loved to swim. And one of the first DIY projects he performed was installing underwater lights into the pool. He insisted on doing this himself. I told him he should use an electrician. One Saturday morning he went out for a swim. The lights had been left on overnight. And a stripped wire he missed electrified the pool. When he jumped in, it wasn't the electricity that killed him. The autopsy showed it was electric shock drowning. The shock paralyzed his body and he was unable to get to the surface and drowned. I was the one to find him. I guess you can see why I feel cursed. I have to say it does feel good to finally say it out loud. I have been angry in the past because I feel each of these were avoidable. But I have forgiven them. And I think truly ready to move on. Hi everybody. I haven't posted anything in a really long time, but David and I have been married for 2 years now. Things have been going great for the most part. He is still the perfect gentleman and spoils me. We are expecting our first child soon. I am 4 months along at this point. The pregnancy has been going smoothly so far. But I know I'm not even halfway yet. This is where we are having some friction though. I have always dreamed about being a stay-at-home mom. At least until all the kids get to school aged. Then I could foresee getting a part-time job or something. But that's way down the road because I would like to have a big family. David doesn't really agree with this. He thinks that since his mother is retired, and more than willing to be our daytime babysitter, that our best choice is to both work. He keeps telling me that while we could live off of his salary, it would largely just be living. This is especially true. He says if we have 3 or 4 kids like I want, he thinks utilizing his mom and both of us working would allow for a lot of luxury in our lives. We would be able to go on larger vacations and afford niceties that we won't have if it's just his income. I have proposed that he start looking for advancement in his field. He is doing fairly well, but he can keep climbing the ladder. Recently he told me about a position that opened that paid quite a bit more. But that he didn't want because it would mean more late night, some weekends, and increased travel. We had a bit of disagreement about this, as I think putting the extra now for our family will pay off in the long run. It is also important for children to be raised by their mother as much as possible. What do you think I should do to get David to see things the right way? I'm currently worried that he may make a poor choice. It's been a very somber year and I need to vent. Outside of the celebration that was the birth of our daughter, Dana, it has been all turmoil. I am cursed. David lost his life because of a poor choice on his part. He was cleaning one of his guns. And I guess a round was still in the chamber. He thought he had emptied it and it went off. He was shot right in the face and died instantly. I was home sitting right next to him on our couch. I am just thankful that Dana was with her grandparents that night. That was 6 months ago and I am still trying to cope with the loss of yet another husband. I don't know why I am so cursed. They always make some poor choice and end up dead. It's just not fair. Why do I not deserve true lasting love? Why are they all taken from me but their own stupidity? That's not the worst of it though. About a month ago some people I have known for years were starting rumors. They were calling me some sort of black widow. I went and confronted them. They denied ever saying anything like that, but I think they were just trying to save face. Because right after they denied it they said that they just thought it was interesting that I have lost 2 husbands and a fiancé. I didn't know them back in high school. And I don't go around publicizing my heartache. I was so offended. I am the one grieving here. I am the one who now raises a daughter by myself. Yes. We got a substantial life insurance policy payout. But I had to quit my job. So we don't have any new income at this time. I just think it's really cruel to say things like this about me. Then things got even worse. I learned today from a very nice detective that the police have not closed the case on my husband's death. It was an accident. However, it seems a medical examiner has gotten involved in my husband's case. Now they have requested the files from both my first husband's case and my fiancé's case. I just don't know what to do. I know I need to get a lawyer just in case this thing turns into a witch hunt. I feel like I can't trust anyone. Even my ex-mother-in-law Julie seems to be distancing herself from me. I just want to be happy. I just want the life I deserve.